You're all set.
In 3, 2, 1. Oh, what a glorious night. What a great night it was last night. ACB, Amy Coney Barrett, is now on the Supreme Court, sworn in by the great Clarence Thomas. And don't get down. I'll say this to my liberal friends. Don't get down. It's only going to be 40 years, and you'll be able to replace her. You'll be able to name a replacement in due time, in, I don't know, 4 or 5 decades from now. I'm enjoying the meltdown from our friends on the left, including our 2 senators in Massachusetts, the 2 most embarrassing people to speak on this yesterday. We'll get into that. And Joe Biden is warning against 4 more years of George. We can't have 4 more years of George. We could play that sound and ask, George who? George who? Joe. I'm going to say this about Tom Brady is as good as ever right now. It's remarkable. Even I am surprised at the way he's playing right now. And can you believe it? Max Kellerman, Mr. Cliff himself, is doing the mea culpa on Tom Brady. We'll give you that. And we got new rules for Thanksgiving from the governor of California. I'm not sure I can follow these rules. We will run those down, and I'll ask you if it's going to ruin your Thanksgiving. We'll get into all that today on the Callahan podcast, brought to you by DCU. Why do DCU members love their free checking account? It's simple. No monthly maintenance fees, no minimum balance, and no strings attached. What's better is that with direct deposit to their free checking account, DCU members can get paid up to 2 days early. 0 monthly maintenance fees, 0 monthly balance, 0 reasons not to switch. They'll even remove the hassle of switching your direct deposits and automatic payments from your current checking account. Learn more and make the switch today at dcu.org/free checking, insured by NCUA. Membership required. All right, I'm excited today. Cullinane's here as always, but I'm excited today. It is the return of Sapochetti, John Sapochetti. Sap is here, or as we call him on the Callahan podcast, old number 46. Welcome back, Sap. I was thinking of you last night. I mean, that's typical. Most nights, before I put my head on the pillow.
Where you lay your head down, you think of Sap?
I think of Sap.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, come on.
But tell me you were watching Monday Night Football. It was a lousy game, I have to say. I've been watching these games. Last week I watched Sunday, Monday, Tuesday Night Football, and they were all terrific games. Mm-hmm. This Sunday night was a great game. Seattle, Arizona, great game, great quarterbacks. And last night, I got a little bit excited to see the Rams and the Bears. But you know what? The Bears, they always let me down. They never put on a good show. Even when they win, it's ugly. Nick Foles is okay. He was terrible last night. The Rams beat him. It was a blowout. It was, I believe, 24-3. And Akeem Hicks makes a play. I think he got a sack or something. Did you happen to hear this? Steve Levy, the new play-by-play guy on Monday nights, I like him. He's pretty good. He's He says
he's a local guy, right? Is he a Boston guy?
Is he? I know he's up here a lot. He's a hockey guy, and he's got a lot of connections up here. I saw him.
He owned a bar in the city for a while too, I think.
Oh, did he?
Restaurant. Yeah,
he owned a bar. Well, so then I guess he'll be working until he's like 98 because he
no longer owns the bar.
He's
right?
probably broke like every restaurant and bar owner in our state, in any blue state. The restaurant and bar owners. We'll get into that because I feel so bad for people who invested their life savings in restaurants and bars. They're ruined. They're ruined. Governor Charlie Baker has ruined them. But we'll get to that. My point here is Akeem Hicks makes a sack, and Steve Levy's going back to he's just trying to come up with something because it's a boring game at this point. It's, I think, early fourth quarter, and Levy says, do you know he went to Regina College in Canada? I didn't even know that. Akeem Hicks, and he says he drank 40 beers.
Ooh.
It was kind of inappropriate, and he'll probably get criticized by, I don't know, somebody, Phil Mushnick in the New York Post for bringing this up. But he said he was talking to Hicks, and he told him the story about it was wing night at a bar at Regina College and wherever in Canada, and he counted and he gunned down 40 beers. And I'm thinking, That's nothing. That's like Tuesday night at the Sapochetti household. If you don't remember Sapochetti, we get a lot of new listeners since last time you were here, Sapochetti. But you told the story, and I won't make you retell it. I'll just say that you are most famous on this podcast for once gunning down 46 beers. So, by the way, I'm going to guess Hakeem Hicks. I mean, you're not a small guy, but he probably has about 75 pounds on you.
Yeah, he goes about 6'5", 325. So, yeah, he's about 75 pounds on me. But I was much younger then. It was 1990, so I was 27 years old. I haven't drank since 92. But that was Super Bowl Sunday, 49ers, Denver Broncos. I was trying to keep up with the 49ers. They beat the Broncos 55-10. I fell 9 beers short. But that was over the entire day, guys. So it wasn't like I just sat down for 4 hours and power drank that much. In fact, if you tried to drink 46 beers in 4 hours, you'd probably not live to tell it.
Nothing. Sap, let me just tell you one thing. Nothing to apologize about. You have nothing to apologize about.
That was a long time ago. Wasn't it the Chargers they beat 55-10? Or you said it was the
No, that was 49-26 when they were a huge favorite. Yeah.
I will say this, for a guy who used to drink a case of beer a day, you have a remarkable memory. You can recall stats and numbers, and I assume you were in a fog when you saw all these things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was probably better off staying in a fog, comfortably numb, because I can't remember what I did an hour ago, but I can remember what happened in, January of 1990. That's the plight of old age, Jerry.
I'm going to guess Steve Levy is, a hockey guy, and they probably told these kind of anecdotes on hockey broadcasts. And
him and what's his buddy, Barry Melrose. All they did,
Barry Melrose,
and nobody cared. But now it's Monday Night Football. I'm going to guess someone pulls him aside today and says, "Steve, we really don't want to be promoting alcoholism among our players. Could you just forget those stories?" And another strange thing. Last night, I'm not even sure why I was paying such close attention. I was watching, obviously, the Amy Coney Barrett swearing in, that glorious moment for our great republic. It was a great day. I'm not sure, next Tuesday is going to be a great day, hopefully, but this Monday night was wonderful. But Brian Greasy, the color guy, Nick Foles just took a beating. The Rams, led by Aaron Donald, who only had half a sack, but let's face it, he's double teamed and he frees up other guys. They were just pounding Nick Foles. And Brian Greasy says that he can't run the plays that the coach calls into him, that the coach sends in a lot of times because his offensive line doesn't protect him well enough. Greasy says this in the booth, and I'm going, oh, man. That's not going to go over well. And lo and behold, as soon as the game's over, Nick Foles is saying, I never said that. There was a miscommunication. Brian interpreted it wrong or something. I never said that. But I don't think Foles is too happy with his offensive line. But if you missed the game, you missed nothing. Rams by a blowout. It's hard to believe that Bears team beat Brady's Bucs team, which looks as good as any team in the NFL, including the Steelers. They look as good as anybody.
Right now they do. And the other thing too, Jerry, in our lifetime, we're essentially the same age. The Bears have never had a good quarterback, right? You could have put Tom Brady with the Bears or Aaron Rodgers with the Bears or whoever, and they would absolutely stink because it's one of those positions they've never been able to fill, even when they won the Super Bowl with Jim McMahon, he was just along for the ride.
Right. He's overrated because they were so good and he was so bombastic and outrageous. And Trubisky, I believe they traded up and could have taken Deshaun Watson, correct?
Yeah, they had the 3rd pick in the draft. They decided to move up to 2 to take Mitchell Trubisky. And later in the draft went number 10 was Patrick Mahomes. Number 12 was Deshaun Watson. I mean, obviously that's a blunder, along like Portland not taking Michael Jordan, taking Sam Bowie instead.
Well, you know what? There's going to be a lot of those guys like Trubisky, those former top picks who are now backups, who are going to be on the Patriots' radar. And I was going to get to this later, but we might as well get to it because it seemed to me on Sunday, I'm not hearing a lot of dissent. It seemed to me there's kind of an agreement, a unanimous feeling that the Cam Newton era, it might not be over, but it's not going to go beyond this season. I mean, 3 weeks ago, there were people saying they got to sign him to an extension. Nobody wants him to sign to extension. In fact, most people aren't really sure if he's better than Stidham. He looked so bad Sunday. He looks so indecisive. He doesn't appear to have any confidence. He looks shot. And that's not just one game. That's, as you know, the last 3 games when he's got 7 picks right now. He's got 7 picks, 2 touchdown passes. The last 2 weeks, he's got 5 picks and no TDs. And they've on a 3-game losing streak, and he just looks awful. I mean, he still dresses pretty flamboyant, and he's still, the best interview they've ever had. But boy, did he look awful on Sunday.
Yeah, he did. I mean, the quarterbacks of the Patriots this year, Jerry, have 3 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions. They haven't developed the position. What Bill Belichick did with this position is negligent. It's really, it's cavalier the way he's acted. You let Brady walk. You think you're going to have Garoppolo, but you're forced to trade him. And then you go into the offseason thinking Stidham's going to be your guy. Then you don't think he's your guy. And then you're left waiting for the last possible free agent quarterback, who's Cam Newton, who hasn't been healthy in years. It's just, I just think Belichick thinks he could take me, you, and Cullinane and turn us into a competent unit.
It's funny that the Patriots don't look like contenders, but everybody's still into it, and they're all going to be watching. And the question will not be, are they going to beat the Bills in a month? If they're out of the race, it's going to be, Belichick versus Brady. And right now, that is a rout. The Belichick Brady competition. I mean, Brady puts up 45 on the day that the Patriots just embarrassed themselves with 2 field goals at home. And yesterday, big day yesterday. I mean, this was my life for years. The talk about Brady versus the Cliff versus, Max Kellerman and all the, the people on ESPN that doubted him because he once had a MAGA hat in his locker. That's why Max Kellerman hates him. And he's just the most hated, the most envied guy. And I always said eventually Max Kellerman, will be right. And he's such an arrogant, he's such a dink that he'll probably take a bow. See, I told you he was going to fall off a cliff. It's been, 5 years since he said Brady's, going to be a bum in short order. And now Brady's is playing as well as anybody. Jason Whitlock yesterday in his column had Brady among the, I think, top 3 candidates for the MVP. Wouldn't that be amazing? He wins an MVP at 43. Obviously, he surrounded himself with talent. He's got much, much better talent than he had most years in New England, and he just recruited Antonio Brown against the will of his coach. But yesterday, Max Kellerman actually said, that arrogant D-bag actually said he was wrong, that Brady was never even close to falling off a cliff. But
Max has conceded, even though he won't say it, that he's wrong. He's going to use very large Ivy League words to
like the Fonz before me.
Did you say it?
I will say I was I was It's all that comes out.
Just finish it.
I hear
Hard
you.
G.
You ever
I
watch
need to
Happy
hear
Days?
the. Of course, I watched Happy Days.
Well,
I
there you
want to
go.
hear the hard G. Just say it. Just say it. Look in the camera. Single shot of Max. Can we get a single shot of Max here? Director?
Here it is. Let's go,
Okay.
Max.
All right, there we go. Max, just say it. Just look into the camera. Say,
Molly
I was
was
wrong.
wrong.
No, say, I was wrong. Tom Brady never fell off a cliff. Please do it.
I was wrong. Tom Brady never fell off a cliff.
oh, is there a more punchable face? I'd go top 3: Jake Tapper, Max Kellerman, Chris Wallace. Those would be my top 3 punchable faces.
Is it money that does that to a person, where they just have to make up a gimmick every time they go on television? Is that?
Well, I think when you're talking about him,
I think
Skip
I can't
Bayless,
hear Jerry, so
Skip Bayless, his predecessor, said, same thing. You look at them and you say they made a fortune, and what they're doing is working, so they're just going to repeat it. I mean, Max Kellerman just repeats what he says constantly, and it's working. So why wouldn't you? But
It's just such a lazy take. I don't know. It's just he's been lazy for 5 years. It's lazy of radio to always like go to Max Kellerman clips, and who is the other one? It's not Stephen A, but the other guy who just makes shit on Brady.
Rob Parker.
Yeah, Rob Parker. It's so lazy.
It is.
Skip Bayless.
You know what?
Skip Bayless is another one who will go on and just he continually says that there's nothing that LeBron James could do to surpass Michael Jordan, even if he wins 8 titles, because he's lost 6 times in the finals, which is ludicrous. Going to the finals and losing is better than not going to the finals at all. Sure. I mean, yeah, Kellerman gets his little take and just sticks with it because most of the country despises Tom Brady, right? So that's good for ratings.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in New England, I don't say despise, they don't despise him, but they root against him out of jealousy, out of the fact that, he left them and he formed a super team, and it's hard to watch him still at the top of his game, especially as you're watching 31-year-old Cam Newton just suck. But are you back with, can you hear me, Sapochetti?
He apparently cannot, so I'm going to text him and tell him to.
I can hear Dave, but I can't hear Jerry.
All right, just log back out and come back in. Not a big
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Log back out and come back in. Well, I have to say that we were planning on having, look at the people on
rejoicing
on Facebook could see Sapochetti struggle. No, we wanted, as we say all the time, we like a little disagreement. We don't always sound like we're all on the same page, like so many shows, so many podcasts. And we try to get liberals, we try to get Biden fans, Trump haters. We have one in Alex Reamer who drives people insane. He's a little too high strung, a little too shrill for some people. We get the complaints every time he's on, but we've been looking for others. Sapochetti is one. He's much more low key.
Oh, Sap sneaky disagrees with you. You know what I mean? Like he understands where you're coming from, but then he'll just be like, "Yeah, I hate Biden too." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, because
that's a pussy move. You can't say, you got to choose. You have a choice. You have a choice.
I voted already. I did my mail-in ballot. I selected Joe Biden. I was going to write in John Huntsman or someone like that. And no, I didn't do it. I voted for Biden. I was a Pete Buttigieg guy during the primary, and I think he's by far the best candidate. The thing that turns me off with both of these candidates, and I know it's not exactly groundbreaking news, they're too damn old. Like one is 74, is 78. We had, Trump is bringing up Perry Mason as a reference, and Joe Biden doesn't know who he's running against, and it's sad. To me, it's sad.
You voted. See, your guy acts much older. Let's be honest. You say what you want about Trump. He's got energy. He's got stamina. I think he's doing 3 more rallies today. He's doing 3, 4, 5 rallies a day. He is tireless, and this job takes energy. It takes stamina.
Did you see it yesterday? I got to go back and go find it. But did you see yesterday where Biden said that there hasn't been a day where he hasn't worked 12 hours?
Right. Well, I don't know. Does he consider like sitting at home with a shawl on and a cup of soup watching the news? Is that working? It's embarrassing. And every time he's out in public, you understand. I understand why his people keep him under wraps. The basement was smart strategy, because when he goes out in public, and we said this yesterday, he doesn't just sound old, he looks old, he walks old, he moves old, like frail. And the idea that he could be president, have the toughest job in the world for at least 4 years, is comical. You voted, Sapochetti, for Kamala Harris. You voted for the most radical member of the U.S. Senate. You voted for one of the most unlikable candidates I've ever seen. The fake laugh and the fake performance. She's the least authentic, and I would include Hillary Clinton on this list, the least authentic candidate I've ever seen. Just a complete effing phony.
But Jerry, you're in love with ACB, right? Obviously, I've pre-ordered the poster of ACB. That's your Christmas gift. It'll be in, soon enough, and we'll get that out to you. Hopefully we'll see each other before Christmas. I'll get it framed. It's 3x2. But her voice is a bit much too, isn't it?
Yes, I said that with you. Her voice is not great. She looks great. She's smart. I love her family. I love everything about her. Not a great voice, but you don't have to listen to her. How often do you listen to Clarence Thomas or Sam Alito? We're not going to listen to ACB. Right. You're going to listen. No, we won't. Kamala Harris, if you get your way, will be front and center. I realize she's been hiding. She doesn't do interviews except with like The View. She did that 60 Minutes thing and she embarrassed herself, but She has yet to do a press conference. She's a week away from being the vice president of the United States, and she's never done a press conference. Since she's been named, since Biden chose her. They're hiding her too. And again, I understand why. These are not good candidates. Your whole campaign is hating the orange man, just evil orange man. We can't vote for him. But here's where I'm curious, and I do this with Reamer, and it drives people nuts. I like getting a dissenting view. I like the debate. The fight is what we're looking for. And I watch this campaign, and I see Trump, and I hear him say dumb things, and I see him tweet dumb things. Mm-hmm. And I ask people, I tell people this all the time, the reason I like him, the reason I'm wholeheartedly supporting him is not because of what he says or what he tweets. It's what he does. The deeds mean more than the words. Now, I'm going to ask you a serious question. You've already voted. You voted for this stumble and bumble and frail old man that is warning against 4 more years of George. We'll get to that because we're not sure who George is. But what has Trump done that has upset you so much, Sap?
Well, he continually wants to attack the prior administration, which is fine. That's the way.
That's not. Hold on. Stop. Right. Stop. I'm going to make one requirement here. One rule. It can't be about words. It has to be about deeds.
Okay.
Tell me what he's done. What has he done for the last 4 years that upsets you, that makes you think he doesn't deserve another 4 years?
I think he took us out of the Paris Climate Accord, which I totally disagree with.
He did.
No, it's not, Jerry. It's not. It's real. Climate change is real. It has to be addressed. I am not a proponent of the Green New Deal, not at all. That's completely lunacy. But I think taking us out of that with how many other countries? There's 2 other countries, 2 major countries that pulled out of it. One of them being North Korea. That makes no sense.
It makes all the sense in the world. If you know what the climate, it costs hundreds of millions of dollars, and it does nothing. All it does is stop, third world nations from building power plants and living like first world nations. And our carbon emissions, we're doing better than the countries who are still in the Paris climate. Well, anything called a Paris Accord is not worth being in. The U.S.
That's a great city, Jerry. Come on.
The U.S. will get screwed in anything like that. And climate change is a waste of everyone's time and energy until China and India are on board.
Agree. But are you going to get them on board by pulling out of this and not showing any leadership in that sense? I think you have to. And that is a major concern.
Okay, we will disagree on that completely. I think it's a waste of time and money. I tip my cap to him for pulling out of that. Give me number 2. What did he do? What has he done?
He hasn't done it yet, but I think he's going to do it if he gets reelected. And it is, absolutely trashing the Affordable Care Act. I think that there's problems with that, but it needs to be tweaked, not completely abolished or trashed the way he has talked about that. Look, they put 16 million more people on health insurance, which is a good thing. Does it need to be fixed? Absolutely. But it doesn't have to be a binary choice, yes or no on that. And I don't think that this big, beautiful plan that he continues to talk about with absolutely no details will show it to us if he has something.
All right, so I guess we'll just have to disagree. You want to say
Obamacare
and the Paris Climate Accords? God bless you. You're going to get that if you get your guy Biden. I realize there's going to be massive tax hikes, more regulation. There'll probably be some endless wars because Democrats and never Trumpers love the endless, pointless foreign wars.
I'm with you on that, Jerry. I'm with you on that. My thing is, I would consider myself a populist progressive, if that makes any sense. Like I'm all for, union workers, people that get dirty at work. That's what my dad did. He was a construction worker. That's how he, raised us. So I love all of that. That's so important. And he talked about that in the campaign. But look, manufacturing jobs have gone down since he's been president. They haven't gone up. So, his talk has been one thing and his actions have been another thing. You do bring up a great point when you talk about his deeds mean more than his words. I've always said about President Trump, when he tweets or when he acts bombastic, take what he says seriously, but not literally. And I think that that's what people have to do. I'm not the guy that next Tuesday night, if he wins re-election, is going to say, I'm moving to Canada. I can't believe this happened. We're going to be fine with Either one. It's not going to have such an impact
But
that
you're
we're
gonna-
going to be completely different than we were the day before, or at least on January 20th.
You're going to sit there alone in that that shelter you live in.
I do live in a shelter, yes.
You're going to sit there alone and say, God, we're never going to get back in the Paris Climate Accords. That's what you're going to say Tuesday night. Or you're going to say, oh, my goodness.
Jerry, I live right next to the ocean. If this doesn't change quickly, I may be gone in a few years.
I mean, it's just, it's, I don't think people like you, smart, reasonable people. I realize, Reamer's a different deal. He's crazy. He's irrational. He's insane. But people like you do not believe that Joe Biden is fit for the office. You don't think
I don't think either one is fit for the office. I really don't. I mean, this is the worst choice we've ever had. Without question. I mean, George McGovern and Richard Nixon was a more,
are you
based
better?
because actually I thought Nixon was a good president. I know that sounds crazy for the guy that's supposed to be a liberal, but I thought Richard Nixon did a lot of things, actually a lot of liberal things when he was president, but most people wouldn't agree with that.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
About the same. I mean, I'm not a stock market guy. The stock
You're
market
the same, probably than you were 40 years
40
ago.
years, yeah. Actually, I was doing better when I was in my early 20s than I am now, so we should go back to Reagan. That would be fine. But yeah, I mean, I'm not the average test case because, not married with kids. I kind of do my own thing. And I don't play the stock market. 401k didn't have that where I work, so I'm completely different. I bring a different set of standards.
Well, I last time I saw you out and about, you were doing what reformed alcoholics do. You were sitting in a bookstore drinking coffee at like 9 o'clock. It was like 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, and you're just sitting there like, looking at books and drinking your coffee. And
what were you doing there? I remember you were trying to buy a book because you were heading up to Maine.
I was heading up to it was like a Friday or a summer weekend. I was heading up the beach, and I needed a book, and I ran into just before Barnes and Noble closed. I'm sure that's not even there anymore because
probably not.
And I ran in. I was going to grab a book, and you're just sitting there like, I don't know what you do after Barnes and Noble closes. Where do you go there to some
Kelly's
IHOP?
Kelly's roast beef on Route 1, yeah. End the night with a roast beef sandwich and a couple of hot dogs.
Doesn't sound like a bad Saturday night.
No, it's exciting.
With you seem perfectly content. I will give you that. And you don't get emotional. I do. And last night, I have to say, I get irrationally, get back to that, word, irrationally emotional and happy when I see Amy Coney Barrett sworn in. And I don't even care that it upsets the Democrats, the liberals. Usually that's my barometer. If it upsets Liz Warren, if it upsets the Boston Globe, I'm for it. That's how I make my decision on referendum questions. I wait for the Globe to come out with their endorsements of each question, and I just go the opposite way. That's generally my rule on voting on election day. But this was a glorious day for America. She is rock solid. This is the kind of person who is supposed to be on the court. I realized that, she's not into killing babies, and, she's not into probably not going to support guys who transition to girls just so they can beat girls in sports. That kind of thing upsets liberals. But it used to be the sitting president chose someone, and if they weren't, didn't have a real checkered past, if they didn't have a rap sheet or some real flaws, they won, not unanimously, but overwhelmingly, as we've gone over before. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a radical left-winger, got 96 votes. I believe Scalia got 97 or 98. Even, Kagan and Sotomayor, who don't have a fraction of the qualifications of Amy Coney Barrett, won easily.
But it was around 56, 44, 58, 42, so it wasn't
that's how it used to work. It didn't used to be a knife fight. That's the Democrats. They started it with Bork and Ted Kennedy, and Joe Biden absolutely slandered and defamed a great candidate in Robert Bork, ruined him. And then they did it with Clarence Thomas, and then they did it with Kavanaugh, most famously, absolutely just made up lies about Kavanaugh being a gang rapist and everything else, and made it personal and made it sensational. And they lost. Kavanaugh won. And they somehow thought after Kavanaugh that there was going to be this, I don't know, gentleman's agreement that Trump and Lindsey Graham and the rest of the Republicans are going to say, oh, no, we won't fill the seat, just to be nice and considerate here. We won't fill the seat. Are you kidding me? Of course they were going to fill the seat. It's what the Constitution allowed. It's done. She's on the court, and everybody in Trump's base, everybody, like me, is thrilled. If Trump didn't fill that seat, do you know how mad Trump's base would be?
Well, don't you think Democrats were mad 5 years ago when President Obama couldn't fill the seat with Merrick Garland?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, you didn't have the Senate. That's all that matters. So if Merrick Garland didn't get a vote, Obama nominated him. It was a cynical choice because Obama didn't like Merrick Garland because he was a moderate, but he did it. He did it out of because of politics. He wanted to put the Republicans on the spot and say, you're not going to give this moderate, by today's definition, a vote. And they didn't. But what would have happened if they did? If they did give Merrick Garland a vote, what would have happened?
But then you brought up party lines earlier, so then it would have been party lines again, whether Merrick Garland was qualified or not. So it's a different set of
party lines, and you would have lost.
But it's a different set of rules. You're trashing that everything is done on party lines, and then you have this close vote for ACB, which was 52-48.
It all changed, and obviously this was before Kavanaugh, but it became very political. It wasn't this deal where you just chose a person who was qualified that you liked, you agreed with, and they kind of gave them a obligatory couple of days of hearings, and they approved them. That's the way it used to work. It doesn't work that anymore, and it wasn't going to work that way with Merrick Garland. So if he lost, if Mitch McConnell led the charge and they gave him a no vote, then what? Then Obama nominates someone else, they get another no vote, and they run out the clock. If you control the Senate and the White House, your guy passes. Simple as that. That's different than this. This is the Republicans have the White House and they have the Senate, so they get their guy or girl through.
But when we've had different setups before where the White House was controlled by one party and the Senate by another, we've been able to work through that and get someone into the Supreme Court. So those days, I guess, are gone. So going forward, if this happens again with Democrats and there are seats that become available, which isn't really likely, if Biden wins, unless he wants to stack the courts, it's going to remain at 9. And I don't see really any of the Republicans are going to step down. They seem to be in fairly decent health and not overly, no one's in their 80s at this point. So I don't think you're going to be able to fill any of the Republican seats going forward and see what happens. The Republicans do a much better job, Jerry, and I'll give you credit for this, of working together, right? So they were all on board. They were able to get this done.
Are you kidding? No one works together like these Democrats right now. They all walked out.
No, but they just can't seem to get anything done because when you look at things like this, how the Democrats, it even started with Merrick Garland, where some Democrats had problems with it, and people to the far left didn't think he was far left enough, so they weren't, in total support of that. We see this throughout the primary process where the Democrats they didn't vote in 2016 because they didn't like Hillary Clinton. They decided to vote for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, and that led to President Trump and 3 more appointees on the Supreme Court justice. So, it's. Look, I agree with you that if someone is qualified, they should be on the Supreme Court. That's the biggest concern. She seems to be qualified. She seems to be bright and experienced and all of that. Some of her issues I have problems with. If we're going to overturn Roe v. Wade, I have an issue with that. And I'm not a baby killer, Jerry. You can be somewhere in the middle. I think after the first 3 months, abortion should not be on the table unless it's the health of the mother. That's it. But I'm not.
But you're smart enough to know she's not going to overturn Roe v. Wade. It's not going to be outlawed. It's going to at worst, it's going to go to the states. And does anyone think that 47 states won't make sure abortion's legal? Of course it will. Of course they will. New England will all be legal in the Northeast. You don't have to worry about it. Maybe Mississippi and Utah will restrict.
Kansas and some other states that now you'll have to go to another state. Yeah,
That'll be about it. I'm looking at the numbers. Kagan got 63 votes. Sotomayor got 68 votes. Stephen Breyer, 87 votes.
Well, Breyer was a Bush appointee, right? He was a H.W. Bush appointee. I know he's now considered a liberal justice, but it was actually was he appointed by H.W. Bush?
Breyer was appointed by Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, okay, yeah.
And so was Ruth Bader Ginsburg at 96 votes. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as left-wing as they come, as radical as they come, 96 votes. Amy Coney Barrett, who's just impeccable. I mean, they had no dirt on her. They had nothing. All they kept going back to is the fact that she's against abortion. Good. That's kind of why she's there, is because she's against abortion. She's a Catholic who lives her faith, unlike the phony that you have running that you voted for president, Joe Biden, who calls himself a devout Catholic and supports partial birth abortion. I'm sorry, there is no such thing as a devout Catholic.
He gets the ashes on his forehead on Ash Wednesday.
We're going to live to regret Roberts. John Roberts is going to be, your savior at times. Not we got a 6-3 advantage right now, but it'll be 5-4 a lot because Roberts wants to get invited to the cocktail parties. That's what you get that problem. Democrats or liberals on the court never flip. They never move tack to the right. Conservatives do. You saw it with David Souter, the biggest sellout in Supreme Court history. The biggest mistake that George H.W. made was David Souter. Fortunately, he retired, went off to his little farm in New Hampshire by himself, that weirdo. Now you have John Roberts, who's going to soften. He's going to turn left. He's going to want to be hanging at the cocktail parties in Georgetown with the beautiful people. That's what he wants. He's a disgrace. And trust me, in a matter of 5 years, conservatives will hate John Roberts like they've hated no one ever. Because he's not that old. He's going to be around a while, and he's going to continue to stab people in the back. But here's what happened yesterday. It was wild. They made these speeches one after another, the Democrats, and they were hysterical. One was more off the rails than the next, including Ed Markey, who said originalism is racist, it's homophobic, it's Muslim, Islamophobic. It's originalism. Then you had guys like Schumer and others saying, we are going to get our revenge. You just wait. We're coming. And you had like morons like Mazie Hirono walk up and give her a vote in person. They said, yay or nay. And she went up and she said, hell no. And she put thumbs down. That nitwit, Mazie Hirono. It was very dramatic theatric performance by many of the Democrats who are already, the party leader, your party leader, AOC, tweeting out, time to expand the court. So they're assuming they're going to win the Senate, which is too bad. But if they do, and now it looks like they might, they are already promising their base they're going to expand the court, which is not a popular idea. It hasn't been done. Even FDR couldn't do it, 100 years ago, whatever it was, 90 years ago. This is going to be a fight like we've never seen before. They're going to want to add, because AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Liz Warren and Ayanna Pressley are running things now. They are the power behind the throne. If the feeble, pathetic Joe Biden gets in, and they don't care, they don't care about polls. They're going after it. They're going to want to pack the court with 4 or 6 radical left-wing justices. It is going to be wilder than this fight and any fight we've ever seen.
Jerry, you brought up the squad. They don't carry a lot of weight. I'm sorry. They carry a lot of weight on Twitter, and there's a group that absolutely loves them, but they don't carry weight. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is still Speaker of the House. She's tried to give them the Heisman, push as much as she can. So I don't take them seriously, and I'm considered, left of center. So I think that's a problem. But then you bring up like overly dramatic in the Senate. Is there ever been a more dramatic senator than Ted Cruz, who I am convinced every morning, he doesn't shave anymore, he grew the beard, like stares in the mirror and like rehearses. He's like very Shakespearean.
Well, let me tell you the difference between your drama queen, Mazie Hirono, and my drama queen, Ted Cruz. My drama queen is one of the smartest senators that we've ever had. Alan Dershowitz said he was the smartest student he had at Harvard. AOC is a dummy. AOC, every time she talks, embarrasses Boston University. She's a nitwit. And so, by the way, so's Ed Markey. Ed Markey, Mazie Hirono, you got the dummies on your side, Sap. I'm sorry. But we win. It's, what was it, October 20, what's today? 26 was a great day. Watching her up there getting sworn in by the guy who Joe Biden tried to ruin, and Clarence Thomas tried to ruin him. And Clarence Thomas swears in the new judge, who's 48 years old, looks thin, looks healthy. She's going to be around for 40 years. So get used to it. Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, to you, Liz Warren and Ed Markey. Show some respect.
Do you want the poster signed for Christmas? I'll work on that.
I want, my Farrah Fawcett poster's kind of fraying on the edges. I need a new one.
Only I get that reference, Jerry. You know that.
I mean, I was mad though. You know what the only problem last night? Her husband was up there with her. You know, I don't like, he ruins all my fantasies when the husband's there. And you know what was odd? She wins, gets nominated, gets sworn in. There's applause. They get this, socially distant crowd there. You could see some of the senators, and Melania was in the crowd at the outside at the White House on the South Lawn. But then she wins, she gets applause, and nobody shook hands or hugged or anything. And I guess that's the age of COVID. But then she goes up to the balcony there with the president, and he didn't even touch her. I guess it's not a bad look to touch her. Maybe in honor of Joe Biden, I thought he might at least sniff her hair, but there was none of that.
Nope. Well, Melania was around, so he wanted to be well behaved.
Melania showed up with no mask. I was surprised. She showed up and sat down in the front row with no mask, which she shouldn't have a mask. She's already had the virus. She's not going to get it again or give it. So she, but still for the looks.
Who's the football player that's got it twice? There's a football player. I don't know if he's a college football player.
I don't think anybody. I think they're not sure they had it one time, but I don't think anybody's gotten it twice yet. They might after 6 months, 10 months, a year, but right now I don't think we have solid proof that anyone's gotten it twice. But we don't have to get off in the,
No.
I am disappointed in you as a good liberal. You're not wearing your mask. I see you right here on Facebook Live, and Sapochetti has no mask.
I have plenty of masks, very, very nice masks, but there's no need to do it.
Don't you care?
You're 10 miles away from me, Jerry. Cullinane's 20 miles away from me.
This is about setting an example, Sap. Right. I don't know why you're not setting the right example to the thousands.
I'll wear gloves next time. How's that sound? I'll wear gloves.
Children out there, you should be setting a good example. I don't like this. But
I don't have any children. I don't have to set an example for anyone. I'm kind of a isolationist.
All right, we're going to, hell, we do this every day. Cullinane does this every day, finds one or two cuts from your choice for president. Perhaps right now the polls favor him. There's a good chance a week from today he will win the White House, and he can't make it through a sentence without stumbling and bubbling. And yesterday was a classic Biden moment. I say that a lot. There's a new classic Biden. And by the way, there are montages out there. You can find them. Newsbusters has them. Grabian has them. Montages of the gaffes, and it's like Inagata Davida. It goes for 20 minutes, and it's just one gaffe after another. And if you watch these things, you can't vote for him. You can't. As Joe Rogan famously said, that man cannot be president. He cannot. He cannot put a thought together. His best days are behind him. We'll get to the scandal, the Hunter Biden scandal, because we got a bombshell coming tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. But yesterday, he was with his wife, the puppeteer, the one who's like forcing him. She's like, John Benet Ramsey's parents, forcing her up on stage against her will. That's what she does. She's forcing this poor man who should be, walking the beach and looking for shells, or, watching The Price is Right and clipping coupons instead and reading.
He does look like Bob Barker a little bit, doesn't he?
And yet he's running for the hardest, toughest, most stressful job in the world. It's insane. Anyway, he's sitting with Jill Biden doing another hard-hitting, tough interview. It just one, tough one after another. Sitting with George Lopez, which most people didn't realize this when they first saw the clip. But let's hear Joe Biden's answer to the question of why we can't stand more 4 more years of Donald Trump.
This is the most consequent, not because I'm running, but because who I'm running against. This is the most consequential election in a long, long, long time. And the character of the country, in my view, is literally on the ballot. What kind of country we're going to be? 4 more years of Georgia, going to find ourselves in a position where, if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
That wasn't just like an interview, right? That was like a rally concert with a ton of celebrities, wasn't it?
Now that broke, and he took a lot of ribbing, a lot of ridicule on Twitter, including from me. And then the rapid response team, also known as the mainstream media, went into action the way they do and tried to save him, tried to defend him. The defense was he was talking to George Lopez. He was not, because everyone was assuming he meant George Bush when he said we can't have 4 more years of George. Okay, George Lopez was there doing the interview on Zoom. Why does that make it better? Why is it better? I mean, that was Brian Stelter and Jake Tapper and all these Biden fluffers were saying he was talking about George Lopez. So what? The country can't stand 4 more years of George Lopez? What sense does that make?
I didn't like his show, apparently.
It's just a general gaffe of, hey, I'm looking at a George, so I say George instead of 4 more years of Trump. It's not the end of the world. Actually, if anything, it's almost a good thing in the sense that he did it live, obviously.
Right.
He didn't pre-record it, which is
you know what? And you know what's more alarming? If I were, Sap, the aptly named Sap, who'd voted for this boob yesterday, was it yesterday? When someone asked about court packing and he was out, he had like a brief 5-minute public appearance in Pennsylvania, like 8 miles from his mansion in Delaware. That's the extent of his campaigning. Final week of the campaign. And the guy doesn't have any public events, no rallies. I mean, he's just hiding, sitting on his lead. And again, I understand why. But this is more of a visual, more of a video that you have to see, because he just loses his way, and one of the campaign aides says, okay, we got to go. Do we have the sound? Because you really need to see it to understand how disturbing it is, but he cannot make it through an answer to an obvious, simple question that he knew was coming.
Actually, let me. I'll play the video for us. It's uploaded right now. I'll play the video so that people can see the video. But Sap, we might lose Sap, because last time I played a video, we lost Sap. But I'll take a note of it and do it. Hold on 1 second.
Here's the deal. One of the things that is important is that keep in mind, although they're going to vote on Barrett, I think today. That it's really important that
Wow. To quote Joe Rogan again, that man cannot be president. That is alarming. How is he going to handle the stress, the summit meetings, the flying all over the world? I mean, it's just, he's not up for it. And again, he chose an awful, awful running mate. I mean, if he picked your guy Buttigieg, I would say, okay, that's president. At least he's mentally sharp and he's smart. But, I understand why he didn't make it through the primaries. There are places in this country where people weren't ready for a gay president. We all know it. South Carolina, I believe he got 0%. Is that what he got in South Carolina, or is it 1%? I mean, he got smoked. He wasn't as bad as Kamala Harris, who didn't even make it to South Carolina or New Hampshire or Iowa. She was so unpopular. She didn't make it to 2020. She bowed out in 2019 because nobody likes her. Well, I guess Sap does because he voted for her. But
I'm not a big fan of Kamala Harris either. Look, this is just a disaster that we're waiting for on Tuesday, and I think the country's exhausted with all of it. I mean, the candidate I thought that made the most sense for Joe Biden to select would have been Val Demings. I think that would have been a wise choice, right? If he had to go with a woman of color, Val Demings would have been the best choice.
Why does he have to? I mean, I know he.
Well,
he
I agree with you. I mean, there's more
if you're a
qualified
Democrat,
people.
if you hate Trump, your goal is to beat Trump. Why does it have to be a woman of color? And why do you? I mean, so you pick a woman who, again, I've said it before, say it again, who was trailing Liz Warren among black voters.
Right.
Before she bowed out, before she quit the race, she was trailing Liz Warren among black voters. So you pick her because she's black? What sense does that make? Black people don't like her. Nobody likes her.
And she's from California, a state that you're going to win anyway. I mean, I could win the election in California over Donald Trump. I mean, me and the guy down the hallway could beat
there's no
Donald
question.
Trump.
I mean, I know you pick her and you don't even get a state out of it. You don't even get that geographic advantage of saying we're going to win her home state. Of course, Liz Warren doesn't do that for you either because she finished third in her alleged home state. She couldn't win you anything, but she's at least a fighter. She'd at least be out there on the campaign trail fighting for you. Kamala Harris she's a dancer is what she is. She likes to dance and she likes to laugh. She's a laugher and a dancer. She's not a good candidate. But all right, we got a couple more things to get to before you're much more composed than Alex Reamer, but you don't make any more sense than she does. You're not winning over people that are listening right now and saying, you know what? Because of SAP, I'm going to go out and vote for Joe Biden. It's just not working. I'm sorry.
That's an impossibility, Jerry. It really is, isn't it? To convince people to vote for Joe Biden that are listening to the podcast. If I can pull that off, they should put me on the campaign.
Well, there's a new dynamic. There's a couple things I want to get to. A new dynamic among this in this primary in these final weeks, and it's in Pennsylvania, big swing state that both guys are spending time in. Trump because he wants to win the state, Biden because it's close to his Wilmington mansion. He doesn't really want to go too far because again doesn't want to miss Price is Right. Has to get home. Anyway, we'll tell you about that. And I'm going to tell you why also we're going to give you the rules for Thanksgiving as laid down by SAP's guy, Governor Gavin Newsom in California. But you know what? Lots of things, they start in California and they make your way across the country. I'm expecting new rules for Thanksgiving in all the blue states, including ours. And we will give them to you and ask you if you can follow them, if you will be able to follow them. First, I want to tell you about Shea Concrete. My friends at Shea Concrete. This is for you homeowners, home builders. Did you know my brother-in-law, Greg, and the great people at Shea Concrete have a huge selection of precast concrete steps? I was talking to someone at Shea yesterday. They said, this is the time. Get this done before winter. Improve your home. Improve the value of your home. Whether you're building a new home or you need to replace an old staircase, Shea has great values with designs for any home. Available in concrete. You can customize your steps with beautiful stone, granite, or brick. A new staircase can dramatically upgrade the front entrance of your home. In most cases, Shea can remove your old stairs and have you walking up your new front steps within hours. You don't have to do much. You can watch them outside your window, watch them through the window, see them do all the hard work, see them carry those heavy-ass old steps away, put the new steps in, and immediately, just like that, your house looks better and it's worth more. To learn more about Shea's precast concrete steps, just log on to SheaConcrete.com and ask for a hat. Great hats. So last night, or yesterday, I should say, in broad daylight, we got another completely justified police shooting. But as we know, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, they don't care. They don't care what the suspect was doing, if they had a deadly weapon, if they were attacking the cops. If cops shoot an African-American perp, that's reason to riot, and they're doing it in Philadelphia. It might still be going on. It was going on all last night. I wonder what would happen in this country if we didn't have videotape. I mean, this is the second time in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. I think the other one was in Lancaster, where a knife-wielding suspect went at cops. Cops shot them on video. I'm looking at the video right now. His name is Walter Wallace Jr. He had a knife and he ran at the cops. Two cops opened fire. They killed him. Unfortunately, one of them rushed the cop threw the suspect in the car and rushed him to the hospital where he died. Unfortunately, His mother was there. She's screaming. Some of the neighbors, they start yelling at the cops. One of them's yelling on video that why did you have to shoot him that many times? Like, the problem is they shot him too many times. I mean, what does it matter? Their job is to shoot to kill. They're not, unlike, Joe Biden, they're not thinking, I'm going to shoot him in the leg when he's young and he's healthy and he's wielding a knife and he could come at you and kill you. So the cops did what they're supposed to do. Immediately, I mean, I'm looking at a tweet right now saying he was a father, he was a twin, he was a son. Another Black lives taken at the hand of police. Sickening. This is a tweet from a social justice advocate, and there are lots of things, lots of tweets, lots of messages like that. They shot him 10 times. Why did they have to shoot him 10 times? And you're going to hear people, because let's be honest, one of the candidates for president thinks cops should shoot suspects in the leg. Like, I guess tase. You're supposed to tase them if you can. These guys don't appear to have a taser, but we've seen many suspects who get tased, who keep coming. It doesn't stop them necessarily. It didn't stop Jacob Blake. He got tased, didn't stop him, kept coming. This led to rioting overnight in Philadelphia. If you're online, you can see the video. Stores are getting looted, trashed. There's one scene, again, on video of a cop getting run down by a black pickup truck. And it's a woman, a female. Boom, she gets hit. She's not dead. She has a broken leg. She was rushed to the hospital. I think she's going to survive, but it is sickening. It is obscene. This is in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. Does this become an issue for the next 7 days? Because I'm telling you what, Sap, there was a lot that was left out of these debates. Obviously, the debate moderators were there to help Biden, and this doesn't help Biden. So they didn't bring up Black Lives Matter, rioting, Antifa, rioting, looting. Those are Biden voters. Just like you, the people rioting and looting stores last night, they're voting for Biden. Trump will make it an issue on the campaign trail, but it was never brought up in the debates because it does not help the Biden-Harris ticket.
Well, what can happen with this is it ignites and fires up that group of Democrats, if that's what they are, which they would likely be, whether it's people that support Antifa, people that support Black Lives Matter, and maybe they come out and vote in higher numbers next Tuesday, or if they've already voted. So this is something that actually could help Joe Biden in a swing state, right? Where, people see this today, they're turned off by it, and they say, well, we've got to end this presidency. Let's get out and vote for Joe Biden. So in some weird way, which is sickening that something like this will happen and then help one of the candidates, that could be the case next Tuesday, that this actually helps them.
How does it help Biden?
Because maybe the base looks at this and says, we got to get out and vote for Joe Biden instead of sitting at home because they don't like either candidate or they're politically agnostic in terms of the presidential race. Whatever the case may be, they may come out and vote more for Biden. I think it can help Biden more than it can help Trump. I mean, now Trump is going to use this today and rally his base, which I think is pretty solid already, right? I mean, the Trump voters are going to come out and vote.
See, that's one dynamic I don't quite get is people. If Trump won last time, and he did, and he defied the polls, I don't know many, if any, people who voted for Trump in 2016 who aren't voting for him again. I'm not sure he lost to many people. People like me, I was skeptical of Trump. I was a Ted Cruz guy.
Right.
Trump has delivered on most of his promises, not all, but most important ones, like naming good Supreme Court justices and ending foreign wars and defeating ISIS. Important things that were left out of the debates for obvious reasons, but he's delivered on most of his promises. And the idea of having a Kamala Harris, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Liz Warren administration is frightening. It should be frightening to all hardworking, God-fearing Americans. That is a frightening thought for the next 4 years. Of course, that's what you want, but I think you may live to regret it. By the way, I'm looking at the video again. The cops are backing up, warning him over and over again, drop the knife, drop the knife. What are they supposed to do if he comes at them with a knife? Exactly. What is the alternative to shooting him?
Do you have to shoot? Do you have to shoot 10 times? I mean, you talked about the person in the pickup
what's
truck
the
that ran
difference
over
if you
the
shoot
police
2 or
officer.
3 times in the
Well,
chest?
the kill shot could be shot 8 rather than shot 2.
So
I
these
don't think-
people who were looting last night, and I saw this shoe store or sneaker store getting totally trashed. Those people, they wouldn't riot if there was only 4 shots instead of 10.
But the guy might still be alive.
Not if they're shooting to kill. These guys are 10 feet away and they shoot him in the chest. Whatever. It's
again, it's the fog of war, right? I've never been in that situation. I don't think you've ever been in that situation. I've never had a confrontation with a police officer ever. And I also have never been a police officer put in that situation. So I don't know how people react in that 5-10 second window.
I'm surprised that they do it because they know what's coming. Their lives are going to be turned upside down, probably lose their jobs. I'm surprised more cops just don't turn and run. Just run away. Just say, I don't need to deal with this. I don't want to, lose my job, lose my life. I'm out of here. The good news is, if you're a good Democrat like you, the cops who shot Walter Wallace yesterday, were both wearing masks. So they got that going for them.
That's important. No one would
and
catch
I
COVID.
Can't really tell. One guy's white. I can't really tell the other guy. But they are backing up quickly, trying to get away. And this lunatic is just coming at them, screaming with the knife. And then his mother starts coming at the cops, like swinging at them. It's a pretty wild scene. You'll see it. Everyone will see it over and over again, just like we saw the Jacob Floyd video over and over again. And maybe you're right. Maybe Trump makes an issue of it in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania today. Maybe Biden does and says, why didn't they shoot him in the leg? That's what he was calling for. But it's not going away, unfortunately. It's a huge issue. It was hardly mentioned in the debates. Again, we know why. It doesn't help Biden when you see this, this kind of lawlessness. That's a good issue for Trump. He mentions law and order all the time, usually just in a tweet, but in an incoherent tweet. But these poor cops are surrounded by people who come out of their houses, and it looks like they might, have to pull their guns out again. I don't think they do. I think they restore order, but he's, dead in the street. They rush him to the hospital, but I don't think there was any point to that. But you'll see it. Everyone will see it. It's not like, what's different than like a Hunter Biden video is you got to look for those. This video will be everywhere. Have you seen the Hunter Biden videos, Sap?
I have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Most people say, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I've seen it. Look, I said this, half a dozen times. I probably shouldn't say it again. Not a big fan of Joe Biden and his family. I'm not. But again, it's the lesser of two evils come next Tuesday. But he's put himself, or more forcefully put his father in a compromising position. And his father didn't exactly help either. So, yeah.
I think his father put him. I think his father allowed him to do this.
Better said,
and maybe because he knew, he was trying to help his wayward son. But when you see someone this troubled, and God knows on this video, this is one troubled individual, as we mentioned yesterday, getting a foot job while smoking crack naked. And that's one of the videos. Doing drugs off some woman's ass. That's another one. It's pretty provocative stuff. And you see that guy, that obviously troubled guy, a guy who left his wife for his brother's widow, and then left his brother's widow for a stripper, then married a woman 5 days after meeting her. He's got at least 5 kids, doesn't even acknowledge some of them. I mean, he's just a total degenerate dirtbag loser. And his father lets him come to China with him to make a $1 billion deal. And you think that's a good idea? At best, it brings Joe Biden's judgment into question, allowing this loser to be part of these deals, which clearly compromise him. And again, maybe Biden, I say this all the time, as a Democrat, he just expects the media to cover for him. He expects them to bury this story, and they have done it like good, obedient puppies. They have obeyed their guy, Joe Biden, and they have said, Russian disinformation, no story here. Well, tonight, it might be a little more difficult to make this go away. My guy, Tucker, has Bubblinsky, as we saw do a press conference on debate night. This is the former Tony Bobulinski, the former CEO of the company that involved the Bidens, Joe Biden, Jim Biden, Hunter Biden, the company that was that the Chinese were funneling money to, that Hunter was taking his cut, kicking some of it up to the big guy. I mean, this is the smoking gun, this company. And Bobulinski is going to sit down with Tucker tonight for an hour. An hour. Here's your choice, Sapochetti. Tonight, Game 6 of the World Series, or Tucker Carlson with Tony Bobulinski playing a tape that proves Joe Biden has been lying for years when he said he didn't know anything about Hunter's business. He was involved with Hunter's business. He had meetings about the business. He gave advice and he took money. That to me is disqualifying. If we had a fair and honest press at this point, they'd be calling for Joe to step down. I mean, he is taking money from communist China, our most important adversary, our enemy. He's compromised, and he's on tape saying all over and over again that China is not our enemy, as he's taking millions from them. That to me is a deal breaker. I'm not sure how you can vote for someone like that. In many states, by the way, if you vote early, you can go back and change your mind. Can't do
I've
that.
heard that that's an option. Yeah, we
can't
do
do
that
it in Massachusetts, so you're off the hook. You can't change your mind even if you wanted to.
I'm in. I did it a week ago. We know that. I mean, there's connections with Trump and Russia. Again, this is the worst election choices that we've ever had.
Yeah, you're rationalizing. You're rationalizing.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to be emotional. I'll watch Tucker Carlson with Bobulinski because, first of all, it's at 8:00. By 9:00, they'll probably still be in the first inning of the World Series anyway, because those games take 4 hours, and we watch, strikeouts, walks, and home runs. It's like stickball.
All right.
But
well,
yeah,
tonight's going to be big. We'll have the sound tomorrow. And
when's the last time like a Tucker expose type thing, right? Where Tucker did it, and then the media latched onto it, and it hit the general public, not just like the Twitter lackeys. Like,
good question. He's so good, and he's so provocative, that they will put in, they will put the blackout, or the order will come down from above. Ignore this. You don't get better proof. And it makes me laugh when I hear the press, the media, the lackeys, the Biden lackeys, which is the entire mainstream media, say the story isn't verified. That's their new take. It's not verified. First of all, they don't care if stories are verified. If they hurt Trump, the Russian hoax, collusion hoax, nothing was verified. Obviously, the dossier wasn't verified. The stories about Kavanaugh being a gang rapist weren't verified. They led with those for weeks on end. They don't care about verification until now. And I heard Leslie Saul say it on 60 Minutes. We can't verify that. You know what verification is? Tony Bobulinski, who was in these meetings and on these email chains saying, yeah, that happened. That's verification. You have the proof on Hunter's laptop. Of course, it has nothing to do with Russia. That's such a lame, silly.
But what does he like? What does he have to get tonight for that to reach? Like, I'll just give you an example. So my wife is voting for Joe Biden. All right. We watched 60 Minutes together, and when Kamala Harris laughed at that Leslie Stahl question about her being the most liberal, her having the most liberal agenda out there, and she did that laugh, I saw my wife's life flash before her eyes. She was, I am making a monumental mistake.
Yeah, that was Nora O'Donnell, but you're right. It was
Nora
annoying.
O'Donnell. You're right. Yeah, Nora O'Donnell.
So annoying. She laughs at everything. Every question, she just fake laughs. Whether it's a friendly question, a little softball. Yeah, she is. I can't imagine looking at that for 8 years.
So how does Tucker Carlson get? How does he create something tonight that then reaches the general public?
I tell you one way is it's on tape. Bobulinski's going to play the tape. What if it's Joe Biden's voice talking about the cut that he's going to get? What if we hear Biden's voice? You hear Hunter's voice, you hear Jim Biden's voice, and maybe even Joe Biden's voice talking about the money going to the big guy. This is money directly from the Chinese Communist Party going directly to the Biden family. Are you telling me that doesn't have an impact? I know Jake Tapper and the Boston Globe and Washington Post will do their best to bury it and say he's a Russian agent, but that's a lie. Everyone knows that's a lie. Everyone knows this is a big deal. And if this were the other way around, if this were not Hunter Biden, if it were Donald Trump Jr. getting a foot job and smoking crack and taking money from the Chinese, it'd be the biggest story of our lives. It'd be bigger
What's
than
wrong with
freaking
Ken?
9/11.
Job, Jerry.
But it's Joe, and they're like Sap. They're invested in their guy Joe. So it's
What's wrong with
interesting.
a foot
But
job? I think we all deserve one at this point.
a foot job. All right.
Yeah.
All right, here are the rules. Ready? Before we go,
All
here are
right.
the rules. We'll find out tonight. We're going to have the sound tomorrow of Blinsky with the Bidens, and we'll find out. We'll answer Cullinane's question is, what will it take to change people's minds in the final 6-7 days of the election? What will it change? I mean, the thing it does in general is make you rethink your image of Joe Biden, because he's supposed to be the decent guy and bring normalcy back to the White House and bring a guy that, you know, everybody likes. And then if you hear him and he's taking millions and he's using his drug-addled son, you say, maybe he's not the decent guy I thought he was. That's what it does. It makes you rethink your opinion of Joe Biden before you go in there and vote. And
let me ask you this before we go too. Do you think Linsky, whatever his name is, do you think that other media members got offered an interview with him and they turned it down? And that's because my only point is, what does a Tucker Carlson interview really do in this moment? It rallies you up, and we don't need any more yous. You know what I mean? So what does it really do?
I don't know. We'll find out. He sat with Schweitzer, Peter Schweitzer, the author, who's great. He's a great investigative reporter. He spent 4.5 hours with Linsky. And he'll be writing an expose that nobody will read. But, I mean, if you want to, I heard Schweitzer for like a half an hour explain in detail the Biden's involvement in these deals. And it is damning by any definition. It is absolutely alarming. But, again, the strategy is twofold. Ignore it, cover it with a pillow until it dies. That's the goal of the mainstream media, and run out the clock. If they can make it to Tuesday and Biden wins, it doesn't matter if he's, got Russian. What's the Russian money? What's the called? Not rubles. What do they use in Russia?
I'm going to go with rubles because I have no idea.
Yeah.
If he's got those falling out of his pockets, if he's got Chinese yen or whatever they use, I don't know my money. It doesn't matter. Once he's elected, it doesn't matter. They can all say, yeah, like Harry Reid after he lied about Mitt Romney. Hey, it worked. He didn't win the election. If Biden wins, they don't care how dirty he is. But
it could work like the big tech story, right? Like they ignored it, and then it became a bigger story because they did so. So if we find out tomorrow that somebody should leak that Norah O'Donnell could have had an interview with Linsky, but she turned it down, so it went to Tucker, and then it's like, oh, you're suppressing the information. Maybe it could have a bigger impact.
By the way, it's 13 days, I believe now. The New York Post Twitter account is still locked. They're still locked out. That is amazing. If this were the New York Times or whatever Washington Post, it'd be the biggest media story of our lives. That big tech is censoring the news and locking out the only newspaper in America. The New York Post can't tweet because they broke a story that Jack Dorsey doesn't like. It's sickening. And he's being called before the Senate on November 17th. Couldn't expedite it and have him before the Senate before Election Day. No. It is amazing the things that people like Dorsey and Zuckerberg get away with. It's just sickening and amazing.
Mitch McConnell has shut the Senate down until November 9th. So, there's nothing really pressing on the nation, like a stimulus package maybe. No, but the thing is, too, that remember 4 years ago, the Comey letter came out about 10 days before the election, and I thought that had an impact. I thought it had enough of an impact that it helped Trump and hurt Hillary Clinton. This, again, like Cullinane just said, if you're watching Fox News tonight, most likely you're a Trump supporter, so it's just going to add fuel to the fire, and you're going to make sure that you go out and vote. So, but if it gets out to other parts of the media, maybe there'll be something there. And if there is something damning with Biden saying something, that could sway enough of the people that are still not sure who they're going to vote for.
Or what happened 4 years ago is people stayed home because they didn't like Hillary. They just said, screw it. I don't care what happens. And I don't think anyone really likes Biden. I mean, he's not as hateable as Hillary, but if you find out just what a phony he is and just how much money he's grabbed, maybe you say, I don't want him either. I'm staying home.
Well, there is the aspect of just the base getting angrier and angrier as we lead up till Tuesday, and them just running their mouth, right? I talk to people every day who are just like, what is going on? And they talk to people outside of just me every day, and maybe it convinces some people. Who knows?
I don't know, but it's wild and it's fun, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 days. I'm not sure I'm looking forward to the next Tuesday yet. I still feel like enthusiasm matters, and Trump has all the enthusiasm on his side. Biden has zero. He can't scare up a crowd to save his life. Neither can Kamala Harris or Barack Obama, for that matter. Trump has a surprise appearance in Maine, in some town, Levant, Maine, I never even heard of, some little town outside Bangor. He just shows up out of the blue and gets, 5,000 people to show up in the middle of Maine. It's amazing the enthusiasm we have for a guy who's down, according to all the polls, who's down whatever, 10, 12 points nationally. But we shall see. This comes after Election Day, Thanksgiving. I just wanted to quickly, before we go, see if you guys are going to follow the rules. These are Gavin Newsom's rules in California. I think they're going to make their way across the country because all these blue state governors, all these crazy, petty tyrants who are running the blue states, including Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, they're all going to follow suit, and they're going to come up with their rules for Thanksgiving. Charlie is busy canceling Halloween, making sure that the train doesn't stop in Salem and no one's allowed to walk down the street wearing a stupid costume. That's out. Charlie's already forbidden that in Massachusetts. But here are the rules for Thanksgiving in California, according to Gavin Newsom. Your family gathering must be held outside. Now, that's easy in Southern California. I'm not sure it's so easy in New England. Guests may use the bathroom inside if it's been sanitized. Well, what the hell? How do you prove that? Anyway, masks must be worn at all times while not eating. So you must do what Gavin Newsom wants people to: pull the mask down, eat the food, put it back up, put it down, put it back, put it up. So you got to do that. Here's my favorite. Next rule. Singing is strongly discouraged. Now, my family, we might as well not even get together, because when we get together, man, we sing. That's what we do. We love show tunes. Gladys Knight. I'm Gladys Knight, and the rest of the family, they're the Pips, and we really get into this. And this is going to be tough to get together without singing. It's like getting together without eating. I don't know if we can do it. Maximum length of your visit on Thanksgiving, according to the governor of California, must be no longer than 2 hours.
Oh, man.
That's not even a whole football game.
That's not even like 2 courses in an Italian-American Thanksgiving. That's out of the question.
And you must maintain 6 feet of distance in all directions between tables and otherwise. That is according to the governor of California in Newsweek. In Newsweek story. Those are his rules.
And I think it's only 3 households can come together, right?
Oh, that's right. That's on here too. Only 3
That's key.
different families or households must get together.
Yes. So as the youngest of 6 and all married with kids, that's going to be a challenge for my family. So.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 5 with kids and grand nieces and nephews, and yeah, it's not going to happen. That again, there's no practicality in any of this stuff, right? Like, how are we going to eat outside when it's 12 degrees or 22 degrees? I remember it was a Thanksgiving 3 years ago. It was 8 degrees. I didn't even go to a football game that day.
So you plan on murdering your grandnieces and nephews? You plan on murdering?
Yeah, I'm going to murder them all. No. Yeah, I'm going to murder them all. I've seen them like all the time the last 8 months, so I haven't killed them yet.
You're rationalizing again. If you get together, I know, you're going to kill them, and you don't care.
How about we do this? We get together, we eat inside, we open the windows a little bit, get some fresh air in. That's got to help, right? Not gonna. If we sit outside, we're going to end up with,
you've seen Cuomo in New York. In New York, Cuomo sending in his Stasi, his secret police, into synagogues to count heads to make sure they don't have too many people. Singling out Jewish people in New York. I don't see any problem with that. But
no.
Here's the rule. Here's the statement from the governor of California. He says, singing, chanting, shouting, and other physical exertion significantly increases the risk of COVID transmission because these activities increase the release of respiratory droplets and fine aerosols into the air. Because of this, singing, chanting, and shouting are strongly discouraged. Damn, we can't chant either. I don't know about you guys, but we chant when we're, when we get together for Thanksgiving. We sing, we chant, and we shout. Definitely shout.
And we do karaoke too, right? We all do karaoke on Thanksgiving. The shouting part might be good though, because I would assume by Thanksgiving the election will be determined, although I'm not sure. It may linger on for several weeks. So are we going to have, political debate at Thanksgiving, which is kind of something you try to avoid with, members of the family who go anywhere from far left to far right. So maybe that's a
Check
good
this
thing.
out. Musicians are allowed at gatherings, but they be. These people are insane. This is insane. This is the government. Musicians are allowed at gatherings, but they must be from one of the 3 households who are at this gathering. This is direct quote. This is a direct quote. The playing of any wind instruments, parentheses, those that are played by the mouth, such as trumpet or clarinet, is strongly discouraged, according to the governor's statement. So the playing of wind instruments, he's not going to outlaw it, but he's going to strongly discourage. So I'm sorry, Cullen, I know you were planning on playing the clarinet this year at your family gathering.
I was.
That's
my instrument. My mom wouldn't let me do the piano growing up. It was the clarinet, and I was hoping to perform this year, but it's all right.
I'm a rebel, so I'm going to go ahead and play my oboe. I play the oboe every Thanksgiving, and it's a tradition. And I will not be stopped. The government cannot stop me. I am going to.
What was the instrument growing up that, like, if your parents didn't let you play the trumpet, you got to play the little shitty thing? The record, was it a recorder?
Recorder, yeah. The little, like, looks like a small clarinet.
Yes.
But we can play the accordion, right?
Sapochetti's a big flutist. You were going to play the flute, the piccolo, right?
The piccolo, yes, Brian Piccolo. Look, I played the violin as a kid, so maybe I can pull that out again and, have all the dogs screeching in the neighborhood. Drums, we could play drums, right? We could do that. That's not
I don't know. I don't
prohibited.
know.
That's fine. So drums and the accordion, right? That's a thing.
Yes, just don't spray droplets over your grandnieces or you'll kill them all. Those are the rules in California. They are coming east. I can promise you we will keep you updated. But Charlie Baker is busy ruining Halloween. Once he's done with that and putting more restaurants out of business, once he's done with that, he will move on to ruining Thanksgiving. I fully prepared for no high school football, no road races, no singing, no chanting, no clarinet. I don't know what we're going to be able to do for fun, and then we'll move on to ruining Christmas. That's what these governors are planning to do, and we will be all over it. All right, Sap, old number 46. Good to talk to you again, my friend. I don't think you can change your vote, but maybe you could double check on that. Maybe you could there'll still be time to change your vote, and you could vote for Joe Jorgensen. But actually,
Jill Stein's not on the ballot this time, right?
If Joe Biden and Harris if Harris and Biden win, I know who to blame when they run this country into a ditch the next 4 years. It will be your fault. You and Reamer. I will blame you.
Pretty much, yeah. That's it. I think we'll be ready to take the blame. We're okay. We're okay with that.
All right. We will do it again soon. We will not wait as long to hook up with old number 46, John Sapochetti, today. And thanks to DCU and Allied Paving and to Shea Concrete. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Anything else, Cullen? What did I miss?
We're actually going to take a poll. Who do you hate more, Sap or Reamer? But the poll is actually being conducted in the Apple reviews section. So if you go to Apple Podcasts, in the comment reviews, you can say, do you hate Sap or Reamer more?
That won't even be close. That would be
I don't stand a chance.
Absolute blowout. We have two extremes. We have the nice guy, liberal Sapochetti, who everybody likes, and then we get the screaming lunatic and Reamer. We like to, represent all sides. Is it embarrassing for you to be on the same side as Reamer in every, aspect?
At times it is. It is sometimes. Put us on together though with you. I think
Reamer called Sap a mentor, didn't he? Didn't he say that?
Right.
Yeah.
I think you guys are all the same. You liberals are all the same. No. You, Reamer, Hunter Biden, you're all the same.
I do get a foot massage. I do have to say that.
It wasn't a foot massage. It was a foot job. Get it straight. And I've never had one.
All right.
I've never had one. Cullinade's never had one. It's a little weird, and again, I'm starting to think this Hunter Biden guy has some issues. We'll learn more about that tonight on Tucker with Bo Belinsky, and we will have some of that sound, and we'll have a complete breakdown on that for you tomorrow, and the latest from the rioting in Philadelphia and all the madness on the campaign trail. We will. I'm Jerry Callahan. We will talk to you again tomorrow on the Callahan Podcast.